Hey, how are you doing? This is Dr. Woodard. If you're watching this, I assume that it means that you are signed up for my FYS for spring 2014 at Furman University. Uh, the official title of the FYS is Mathematical Puzzles Puzzling Mathematics. And the reason I'm sending you this link to a YouTube video is because right now, assuming you're watching this between uh, sometime early in the week of January 13th, I'm in Baltimore at a math conference. Yay, exciting math conferences, woo. uh, so I can't be two places at once. I'm not, so that means, as you probably read in the email that I'm going to send, that we aren't having class at all on the first week. So on Tuesday the 14th, no class. On Thursday the 16th, no class. I have those dates right. Instead, you're to watch this video, which you have already started, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things I normally would talk about on the first day, just to kind of orient you to what the class is like and how the class is going to work and so on. And you will, in the process, find out a little bit more about your first assignment, which you are going to be working on this week instead of coming to class, and you are going to have it ready to turn in on Tuesday the 21st. When you come to class. First thing you're going to do when you see me in person for the first time is hand in your first assignment. All right, so a little bit about the course. So this FYS obviously has to do with mathematical puzzles, but really the course is about the writings of Martin Gardner. We're going to read the writings of Martin Gardner and explore the ideas that he writes about. So who the heck is Martin Gardner? Why didn't I call the seminar Martin Gardner? I didn't call the seminar Martin Gardner because probably none of you have ever heard of Martin Gardner. Let's have a show of hands. Who's heard of Martin Gardner? Probably nobody. All right, so here's not a very good picture of Martin Gardner. This is from the cover of Math Horizons. He's kind of a, what does he look like? Well, he looks pretty good there considering he's dead now, right? So he looks worse now, but although he died in 2010. In this picture, I'm trying to guess how old he is in this picture. He's probably in his 80s. He was 95 when he died. So anyway, he's this kind of speckled, very mild-mannered guy. At some point, you're going to see some videos of him on YouTube. If you can't wait, you could Google and watch them. I'm trying to think if there are other pictures in here of Martin Gardner. All right, here's another picture of him about the same vintage. This is really kind of, all right. Not a great way to show pictures, but there he is. All right, so anyway, he's this guy. What is he known for? He's, by the way, not a mathematician by training. You'll read his obituary as one of the first things you're going to read. Let me show you. Here's the first page of the obituary. It's from the Washington Post. It should be attached to the email that you're going to get from me. What you're going to find out is he is not a mathematician by training, but he started writing a column. He's sort of interested in a lot of different things, but math was one of them. But he started writing a column that appeared in Scientific American magazine in the 50s, I believe, called Mathematical Games. This turned out to be by far the most popular thing in Scientific American magazine. He wrote a monthly column for many, many years, into the 80s, I believe. So that's one a month. The magazine was a monthly magazine, and you can do the math, figure out how many columns he wrote, lots of them. So we're going to read various columns that I've selected. One good thing about this course is you don't have to buy a textbook. I'm going to hand you the columns typically for this first week. Whenever I'm not there, they're going to be attached as PDF files to the email message I send you. So you will need to print them out, go to the library, print them out, or use your own ink, print them out, and read them. Normally I'll hand them to you in class. So we're going to read the articles, and you will have questions to answer related to the articles that you're to work on by yourself. And there's sort of a combination of essay questions, and sometimes there's things to compute, sometimes there's just things to look up. But your job is to answer the questions as best as you can. In the past, what I did instead of is kind of weird. I don't know where to look. It's like I've never done this kind of thing before. So like if my eyes are looking in the wrong place, I'm sorry. I guess I should look at the little colored dot on my iMac. But all right. Anyway, then it's like I'm looking at you. All right. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying that you're going to read the articles. You're going to answer the questions. Sometimes you will write essays. Sometimes you will compute things. Sometimes you'll look things up. And you're going to hand those in at the next class period. I remember what I was going to say. When in the other incarnations of the seminar, I would have in-class quizzes, the aim of which was to test whether or not you had read the article. It turned out that there many times the students swore up and down they read the article, but my questions were such that it was hard to answer them anyway because I get carried away, and it's hard to pick out little details sometimes. So this is my new way of making sure that you read the articles. Because if you don't read the articles, then you're going to miss out on. The course. A major part of the course is that you read these articles out of class, think about them a little bit, and come to class prepared to discuss them. If you don't do that, the course just doesn't work. So how am I going to, but on the other hand, I know what college students are like. I have two daughters. One graduated last May. The other one's a junior here. I know what it's like being a Furman student. I've taught at Furman, by the way, for 25 years. I know what it's like, right? So you may plan to read every article, but when push comes to shove and you're busy and you've got a chemistry test and blah, 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 there'll be times you're tempted to not read the article. So what I'm going to do to make sure you read the article, that doesn't happen, is you're going to answer these questions and turn it in the next class period. This is in lieu of a quiz. If you don't like doing these things, at least what you should be aware of is it's better than having a quiz, because you can spend as much time on it as is necessary to do a good job. All right, so what does the class look like? You read the articles, you write things up, you come to class, you turn them in. What are we going to do in class? All right, here's what we're going to do in class. I will sometimes make some comments at the beginning of class, and we'll discuss a few things. Maybe we'll discuss a few things on related to what you just handed in at the beginning of class. Then what we're going to do for the bulk of the class period is break into groups. There are 14 people registered for the class. On a day when all 14 are there, we'll probably do 2 groups of size 4 and 2 groups of size 3. I'm making sure that adds up to 14. I think it does. And if there's someone absent, we'll have to modify this a little bit. And but typically groups of size 3 and 4. And when you break into your group, what I'm going to do is hand you mostly it's problems to work on or things to discuss within your group that are related to things in the article, a little bit deeper than maybe what you were doing on your own. And you're going to work with your group and try to solve the questions. One good thing is if you don't like a particular topic, the next week it's going to be completely different. It's all related to mathematics, but one week it might be about logic, the next week it might be about some things related to topology, the next week probability, the next week something completely different. So what you're going to do is you're going to work and solve all the problems. In the past, I had the idea that we would then come back together, the whole class, and have people discuss what we came up with in our groups. In particular, I had the idea that different individuals from groups would go to the board and present what their group figured out. Because of the quizzes we had at the beginning, this took up some of the class time, and plus I have too many questions because I get too excited about the different things I want you to work on. We often ran out of time and didn't get to do that in the past. So this year I am committing that, a half hour at the end of class, no matter where we are on our work, when there's a half hour left, we are going to stop what we're doing and we're going to discuss the answers, because it's fun to work on the things, but if you don't discuss the answers, then something's lost, right? If you think about something but you're not sure whether you figured it out right or if you're thinking about it correctly or not, that's not so good. So so that's the idea. Come to class, we break into groups. I like to the groups will be different every time, although maybe not, because instead of forcing them to be different, I like to randomize with random.org, one of my favorite websites. Go to random.org. You can randomize almost anything, in particular lists of people's names. So I'll put everybody's name into random.org and I'll have it pick the groups for me. So if there's people in the room that you really don't want to work with, that's too bad. You're going to probably work with everybody. Although, the way the randomization works, sometimes there might be someone in the class you never get to work with. But anyway, we're going to work with different people in the class. All right, now, one of the things attached to the email that you should have gotten looks something like this. At the top it says, Math FYS Spring 2014 has my name. It says Furman University. Right, so this is the sheet I refer to as the information sheet. It's not really a syllabus. It's really an information sheet. I know you can all read. I'm going to go over some of the things on here together. Some of it I've already mentioned, but let me just talk a little bit about this. Is sort of the rules for the course. Talks about how you're going to be graded and so on. All right. So at the top is my contact information. The best way to contact me is email. The phone number, you can call me on the phone, but email is probably the best way. I have some course objectives. I'm just going to read these to you. These are, all right, I'll just read them to you. Students should be able to recognize and employ the main mathematical problem-solving techniques of inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, and lateral thinking. You may not know what those are, but eventually you will. Students should be able to see patterns and generalize them. They should be able to work from small cases to generate larger theories. And the third one, students should be able to recognize correct and incorrect arguments, be able to informally state and prove correct results and refute incorrect arguments. Students should be able to write solutions and write informal proofs. Right, those are our goals. Those are our objectives. That's what we want to be able to do in this course. It isn't just to have fun, although we should have lots of fun. It isn't just to like, hey, this puzzle was interesting. It isn't just to generate interest in mathematics, although hopefully that'll sort of happen as a byproduct. It's to really sort of to refine our ability to think mathematically, logically, to be able to understand how to argue something, how to refute an argument, how to know that we're right when it comes to something that can be quantified, and those are the main ideas. All right, so I've already talked a little bit about how the class works. How I'm going to grade? Well, if you see about halfway down the page, I don't know how to hold this thing. All right, there's this little box. Okay, I guess I should point to this. This is this little box, and here it tells you that there's going to be basically 550 points. 300 points are going to come from, on here it says quizzes/writing. So those are the out-of-class quiz writing assignments, right? Those are the things that you hand in, after you read the articles and you work on your own to answer them and turn those in. That's worth 300 out of the 550 points. That's the major part of your grade, more than half. Right, so you'll want to work hard on those and do a good job. Then 150 points are what I call the engagement score. Okay, so what in the heck is the engagement score? On the second page I have a word about the engagement score. This is a subjective score given by the professor, that's me, which measures attitude, attendance, effort, and engagement. The best way to ensure a high score is to be in class every day, having read the required paper or papers, to give a full, honest effort when working on the assigned task with your group for the assigned amount of time. It also helps to be a good partner and team player. You have to be willing to present your results to the class on the chalkboard. A good way to ensure a bad score is the following, and this will be the third time I've taught this seminar, and I've had people do this. Okay, here's how you want to get a bad engagement score: miss class, or to be there but not have read the paper, make it clear that that's true. To sit blankly when everyone else is working on an assignment and not work with the other people in the group. Or the worst, instead of working on what you're supposed to be working on during class, working on something else or playing with your iPhone or whatever. All right, so those are the ways to get a bad score. How do you get a good score? Well, you do the opposite of that, right? You are engaged, you give your best effort. The engagement score isn't necessarily who solves the most problems. The engagement score is who is showing a good attitude and trying their hardest and working, which is, by the way, not the way math courses at Furman are usually graded, right? Usually math courses are not based on effort, they're based on performance. Here, this course, at least a good chunk of it, is based on effort. Okay, so that's a little bit unusual, but I want you to do your best. We're going to have people in this room, when we have class, who are probably maybe going to be math majors and are really good at this, other people not so good. The most important thing for your grade is really how hard you work on the out-of-class assignments and whether you're engaged or not for the 75 minutes that you're here during the in-class time. The way I feel about this course is it's very different, and because it's a seminar, and seminars are supposed to be different. the way I feel about this course is, as far as your grade, there isn't any reason why you shouldn't get an A or B. It really, I mean, now, have I given grades lower than an A or B the other 2 times I taught the course? Yes. Why? Because students didn't do what I just said. Okay, but it's not that hard to get an A or B. You just have to do what I'm asking you to do. And compared to most courses of Furman, it's probably less work. Now, I'm not saying it's not work. It is work. The articles are sometimes hard to read. It's going to take you a while to answer the questions and do a good job at that. But really, no tests, no tests. That's a good deal. And you don't even have to get answers right. It'll help your out of class score if you get answers right. But on the in class part, it's not that important that you get answers right. It's more how hard you're working at it. So why not? I don't know how your other classes are going or what your GPA is at Furman. But here's what you should be thinking. I can get an A or B in this class by just giving good effort. Okay, so that's what you should do. Now, the other thing I'll mention, I'm not going to talk a lot about this today, but in that little box here, the other thing, what about the other 100 points? We are going to have a final project. This is in lieu of a final exam. So in lieu of a final exam, there's a final project. This will involve, I don't want to talk about it right now because it's kind of involved, but I will talk more about the final project later. Most of the work on the final project will be done in March and April, maybe a little bit in February, but basically involves giving a presentation in front of the class on a Martin Gardner article that we are not discussing in class. So everybody's going to pick an article from a list that I'm going to give you. You're going to read the article, you're going to research things related to the article, and here I am. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, here I'm talking about it, but excuse me. We're going to you're going to give a presentation, a certain kind of PowerPoint presentation, not an ordinary PowerPoint presentation. It's a PowerPoint presentation with certain specific rules about what has to take place during the presentation. Anyway, just want you to know there is a final project. It's 100 points out of 550. It's in lieu of a final exam, so there's no final exam. This is instead, which is kind of great. Whenever you're done with your presentation, you're basically done. Well, you're not done with the course because you have to sit through everybody else, unless you're the last person to give the presentation. The course ends when everybody's done their presentation there the last week of class in April. All right, I've got a grading scale on here, although since so much stuff is subjective, the grading scale is kind of silly. But anyway, there's a grading scale on there. You can read that. All right, on the second page here, it says a word about the out-of-class quiz writing assignments, a word about the engagement score, which I already read to you, a word about the final project, and then there's the disability policy. Although I'm not sure if you have a disability and you normally get more time on tests, it's not really relevant for this course because we don't have any tests. Okay. All right. So what else do I need to tell you here in this video? Which is, it's already 18 minutes and it's probably been extremely painful to watch, but it still beats coming to class on the first day when I would have told you all this stuff in person. The 2 articles that you're going to read, I already mentioned the Washington Post obituary. The 2 articles that are attached to the email that you're going to get from me, one is called Probability Paradoxes. The other one's called Probability and Ambiguity. When you read these articles, sometimes you have to read them more than once. You read through the article, get an idea what it says, read through it a little bit more specifically. The in-class questions are going to have you work with some certain ideas in there. Will you understand everything in all the articles the first time you read it? No, you won't. Should you fight through the article and try to understand every little thing? That might be impossible. Okay, but you should, when you're reading the articles, you should try to get the main idea. Try to understand at least try to understand what the problems are that he's proposing, even if you don't completely understand the solution. If you understand the solution, that's great, but at least try. Unless the out-of-class writing assignment forces you to solve the problem, which it will sometimes, then you're going to have to work on that particular aspect of the article until you have it all solved. But you'll get the hang of it as you go. One thing I wish I could tell you is how long will it take you to read the article in a given week? How long will it take you to read the articles and do the out-of-class writing assignments? I don't know. I think it probably varies, but certainly it's non-trivial. Like you should not wait every day. If the stuff's due on a Thursday and you start Wednesday night at midnight, that's not good. I mean, it's really the smart thing to do is to start early and work on it, and it shouldn't be the most burdensome thing you have in your life, but it's not like it's completely trivial. And I will be able to tell whether you've done a good effort on. And we may have a different opinion on what's a good effort and what's not a good effort on the out-of-class writing assignments, but I will try to give you feedback and let you know whether I think you're doing enough. Okay, let's see. Where's my little list of things I was going to talk about? Of course, I don't know where it went, and could I read my handwriting? Anyway, I think I did. I think I covered most everything. All right, so I'm going to end this video. You are going to go sometime before you see me in person next week, read the articles, and work on your out-of-class writing assignments. And I'm looking forward to meeting each of you. On the first day, we'll have a little bit of time to get to know each other, and I have a couple things planned before we jump into the group work, but we will jump into the group work on the 21st, I guess it is. All right, looking forward to seeing you in person. Bye.